living now, for the first time, in a human-dominated world in which human beings are the largest geological force in the planet, changing the atmosphere, its body of waters, and the complex web of species that makes life on Earth, with a big orange interrogation mark about climate change. The change we're producing can be read in rock formations for thousands of years, so the geologists have taken to define a new geological era that follows the Holocene, and thus the Anthropocene. And that started in 1945. If you wonder what happened in 1945, I think some of you immediately will go to the end of the Second World War, indeed. But it's also true that at that time, the large industrial nations created the Bretton Woods institutions, which globalized the world economy the way we know it now. International trade grew 3.5 times faster than the world economy, so that most nations now are very much more connected to international trade than they were before. For example, in the United States, before that period, only 3% of the GDP was in exports or imports. Now it's 18%, and that's what globalization is all about. This enormous success of international trade, led by markets, led to global risks of climate change, biodiversity extinction, clean water scarcity, life in the seas going extinct, and the question in yellow, which is whether we are going to be able to avoid extinction ourselves. Unless we deal with this problem, there is absolutely no way we're going to get away from the level of emissions that we have today. Clean energy, namely stopping the emissions from power plants that are based on fossil fuel, is therefore the only solution. So where are we and what comes next? What to do? Well, first of all, we have to change international law. Changing the international law now has become more important than ever. We need to accelerate what we're doing because we're not getting things done sufficiently fast. Let me tell you how this started. In the year 1974, I created the concept of basic needs within the Bariloche model of the world economy. In the year 1992, the concept of basic needs was voted by 150 nations as the foundation of a new form of economic development, and then it became the foundation of sustainable development, which is based on the concept of satisfying the needs of the present without preventing the future from satisfying its own needs. We were voting, we were talking, we were not doing it. And I thought, okay, we need a market approach to get people to do it because of their own incentives. I conceived of this, I designed it, I lobbied it, I have worked with the United Nations for many years, and in Kyoto, 1997, I was invited by the European Union, the French delegation, to write it. And I wrote it into the protocol. I designed this for the purpose of making basic needs and sustainable development happen, and it became law in 2005. The change in international law doesn't end there, because actually the market approach, as some people would say, is not as fast as you want it to be. It has the embedded gains incentive behind it, but to move it faster, in the year 2009, I proposed a Green Power Fund in Copenhagen, working as a member of the Papua New Guinea delegation. I proposed the creation of a $200 billion a year private public fund called the Green Power Fund, to support, to fund the building of carbon-negative power plants in developing nations. Which developing nations? The poorest: Latin America, Africa, and the 43 small island states. This Green Power Fund, believe it or not, was voted as the Green Climate Fund in South Africa last December, so it's now international law. technology urgently to reduce carbon from the atmosphere in a profitable way because the world needs energy. We need clean energy, particularly for the developing nations that are using women as beasts of burden to gather wood and water to provide the basic needs of their families. They need more energy? Yes, they need more energy. There is no question they need more energy, but they need clean energy. And the question is, how is that going to happen? Think of it as the following analogy. You have a bathtub, and the bathtub is the atmosphere. We are putting water, so we are raising the level of the bathtub water, which is the amount of concentration of CO2. Even if we slow down, even if we remain at the same level of emissions that we are today, the bathtub is going to overflow. The only way you can prevent the bathtub from overflowing is to essentially open the drain. That decreases the level. And that's what we're talking about with carbon negative technologies. So then comes the question, what is carbon negative? Something that actually reduces the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere. Is that true for the global thermostat? Yes. How does it work?